Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to another Anfield Index Pro Plus podcast. It's another day. It's another Darwin Nunez podcast. And today I've got Cristiano Oliveira from the Benfica podcast. Did I say your name right, Cristiano?
Perfect, baby. Perfect.
Absolutely. Welcome to Anfield Index Pro, my friend.
My pleasure, Gags. Thank you very much for the invite, man. It's a pleasure to be here on the Anfield Index talking to you guys. It's fantastic.
Well, one of our old schoolers, Mr. Marco Lopez, put you in touch. So thank you to Marco. We'll be having Marco on, guys, on Thursday to talk about Darwin as well on the old school podcast. So yeah, you can wait for that one. But today we've got Cristiano, and great to have you on the show, mate. We've been talking offline for a long time, actually, and so we should really start the podcast. It feels like I know you already, but how about you introduce yourself to all of the Liverpool fans listening right now and a little bit of background.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Cristiano Oliveira. I'm part of the Benfica podcast, the weekly Benfica podcast. We like to record every Tuesday evening, so over there in Europe, it comes out on Wednesday mornings. We discuss all topics, all things Benfica. Been around football my whole life. Was born in Portugal, came to the United States at 8 or 9 years old. Something I don't even remember. It's my bad. I should remember when I came, but it was around that time sometime. And obviously stuck around with Benfica ever since. My first love. You know how it is, Gags. You never forget your first love.
You don't.
Even in those tough times when Benfica went 11 years without winning a trophy, which was the longest, sadly, the longest period of our club without any silverware, I stuck by them. Difficult times, not just because the current status of the club, but because at that time, as I mentioned, I was living in the United States of America, which I still am. But, it wasn't easy to watch games at the time. You'd have to go to your local Portuguese club, which was a couple miles away. You'd have to walk in snow or freezing conditions to the one place that had the huge satellite dishes. I don't know if you recall those, but like those NASA dishes, right? And so you'd have to go to one of those clubs to watch the game, and then there was no coverage. Listen, you young lads, you guys are spoiled today.
So spoiled.
You guys don't know what it's like.
Hey, you know what we used to have? I don't know if it was in America. We had teletext. So it was like you'd have a button in the UK and press on your TV, and it was like the internet, but it wasn't. It was a service where information was passed through the aerial, and you would literally just get your Liverpool news or whatever on that. I mean, that was amazing, but it would take forever. The scores would be on there, so obviously you can't watch the game, but the latest scores are on there. So we were kind of introduced to the internet a little bit. It wasn't like the internet, but it was. Teletext was still an unbelievable thing for us as kids.
Luckily, you grew up in a football crazy country, right?
Yes.
I grew up in a country that was very hard to get the games, right? If you want a baseball, basketball, football, those are easy. But what we call soccer here, football, right? It was very hard. And here's the worst part about it, Gags, right? Any Portuguese guy around my age that's listening to this now is going to recall this, right? At the time, right? This is before Liverpool plays on Friday, Man United plays on Saturday, Man City plays on, so everybody gets to watch. No, back in the days, every game was at 3 p.m. on Sundays. And if you're a Benfica fan and they played the Benfica game on the air that day, great. You got this. If not, it was Porto or Sport. You got one live game per week on TV. And so you'd get to see the highlights on the Sunday, Domingo Esportivo, and you'd get to see your 2-minute clip on your team. It was very difficult at the times, but listen, that's why we love it, right? The difficult things, those that stick around for true love. And luckily I stuck around, and Benfica is living better times right now.
Superb, man. And I think we'll get to how this transfer might help Benfica so much a little bit later on. Well, there's two sides to the coin, the money and then the player, but we'll get there. So first, let's start from the start then. So Darwin, when he first joined, just tell us a bit about the time when he joined, what the initial expectations were, what initial thoughts were of people when he actually first joined Benfica. What was, if you remember that, it wasn't too far back, actually, was it? It was only 3 years.
Well, Gags, you're talking to a person that was very critical of the signing at the time.
Wow.
I went on the Benfica podcast over and over and over and absolutely ripped Benfica to shreds. I was not happy with this signing at all.
Big money.
You're talking about a player that is the highest transfer in the history of Portuguese football in all of not again small teams in terms of money. Huge clubs, but in money wise, are very very small. And so when you spend 25 million plus for a player, you're expecting a player that's coming in and giving you, bagging you 30 goals right from the get-go, not a lottery ticket, which that's what I was calling it at the time. Benfica had been involved in a romance with Edison Cavani, who wound up at Manchester United. And that was the player that, from everything we heard, and I had confirmation from very good sources that he was actually going to be presented. And I went on Twitter and I said, Edison Cavani's going to be presented tomorrow. And then when he did, and I got shredded to pieces, but, my fault. I shouldn't have listened to those, but it was very, very good, reliable sources. So once Benfica turns their attention and spends 25 million on a player from the Spanish second division, Almeria, a player who wasn't even the leading goal scorer on his own team. I mean, excuse me. Sorry if you didn't think I should have doubts. I don't know what's wrong with you, but in my mind, it set off a bunch of alarm bells. And so my expectations on him were that this guy was going to come in, back goals, and he struggled. And in his first season at Benfica, whether the pressure of the huge contract, the huge transfer fee, I should say, weighed on him or not, you could tell this was not the player that we all anticipated we were getting. Yes, he showed flashes, very physical, very quick, but he'd miss, opportunities that you'd expect a 17-year-old kid that's making his debut with the first squad to convert. And so he left a lot of doubts. But you know what? To his credit, to Benfica's credit, they hung in there. I know Benfica's got those, the sports mental guys coaches working with these players, and they did wonders with him because his second season in Portugal was just phenomenal. The dude from day one until the very last game of the season, he was Benfica's best player. A dude that never gives up. He's the type of player, guys, to explain to you and the Liverpool fans at home. He's the type of player that even when he's having a bad game, it's hard for you to be critical of the guy because he always puts in his shift. You get what I'm saying? And so when you see those guys that are giving it their all at all times, you kind of give them a pass, right? Unlike those guys that come in and you can tell, okay, they're still haven't adapted. They don't fit in well with the team. Their confidence is still shot. And they're walking around on the field. Like, those guys are easy to criticize. But the guys that give it their all at all times, those guys, you kind of give them a pass. You could tell that they're working their way through things. And the only thing I tell Liverpool fans is, when you do finally convert this transfer, and Darwin Nunez is a Liverpool fan, not to expect too much his first season. Don't be too critical, like I was with Benfica in terms of money. Obviously, 25 million for us is pennies for you guys, because obviously the reported fee is 75 million up front with an additional 25 million add-on fees. So that's a lot of money. But if you're patient with him, I think he'll come around, and you have the right coach. As you know better than I do, Klopp's a phenomenal manager. He does well with youngsters. He's able to get guys to fit into the system, eases them in. And so I think it's the right club for the right player at this time, to be brutally honest with you. I think it's a much better signing for Liverpool than it would be for a Man United, for example, Chelsea. I think you guys, with your high press, and you're more direct, I would say, than those other teams. I think that fits Darwin Nunez perfectly. So ultimately, I think you'll be pretty content with the player.
Yeah, and I think also with him is that at Liverpool, the team, it kind of gets the freedom to go and play that way. In however, to play to your strengths, should we say. There's so much creativity in the team as well. When you look at it all the way around, there's the fullbacks, there's, Thiago in midfield, Naby Keita, when he plays, can find you for the run. And if he's one of those players, and I don't know, you're going to tell me, is he one of those players that's going to make a run off of the back of defenders? Like you said, he's hardworking. He's just going to keep trying and trying and trying. This talented squad, Mo Salah is an assist machine. If he can find you from anywhere. I mean, some of the assists he was doing for Sadio Mane this season, just from the wide right area when he was playing central was unbelievable. So if you've got a focus 9, and Sadio's not even a 9, right?
And
this guy's Darwin. A 9. This guy's a 9.
Darwin. Darwin's not a 9. I don't think he's a 9. I don't think that's his strong position. I think he's more of a guy coming in from the left or the right wings. I don't think he's a 9. I think his touch is not defined enough. I think he's lacking in that department. If you're expecting him to be a 9, I think you'll be a little bit disappointed. He's much better coming off the wing, one-on-one, being able to use his pace and his physicality to get around a defender. I think that's when he's at his best.
See, now that's interesting because I think everyone at Liverpool is expecting this to be their number 9.
He can, again, with the way you guys play, he can probably play in the middle between 2 center backs and be that 9. But I think with watching him over 2 seasons at Benfica, I think he's had some, quality games at that position. But I think when he's at his best is on the wings, getting to a ball, being able to come on a counterattack. As you said, Salah feed a ball down the wing and he goes. Trust me, the guy has that never say die attitude. As I mentioned before, that's the one side of his game that you will not criticize. And I guarantee you that. There'll be plenty to criticize. But as I mentioned, if you're patient with Darwin Nunez, he'll get it. And when he gets it, he's going to be a machine. Now, you asked about if he's the type of guy that will make those runs. The guy, not only does he make them on the attacking end of things, but on the defensive side of things. I mean, there's a couple games this year. I mean, if you guys want to go back and look at a prime example of this, just Google. Sadly, it's a loss for Benfica, but Google this past season's Benfica Porto at the Estádio da Luz, where Benfica lose 1-0 in the dying moments of the game, and you see it's the 90 whatever it is minute, and Darwin Nunez beats everyone back on deep. Like unfortunately, look, he couldn't intercept the pass, but he was there. And that's the type of effort that guy gives, not only on the offensive side, but on the defensive side. I think you'll appreciate that type of player. But as I mentioned, I just have to be frank with you guys. I don't think he's a 9, not today at least. I think his best attributes, I think it's best suited for him to play on the outside.
That's interesting. That is going to cause a lot of discussion points around on Twitter and in our Discord server. So that is very interesting. I'm glad. No, but honestly, he's the best. And if that's what you think is the case, then I think a lot of people have said he's played, left wing more. So did you mention also that he could play right wing as well?
Yeah, he could play on both sides. He could play, but I think his strongest would be cutting in and shooting with his right. He's a right-footed player. He could obviously play with his left as well, but. It's going to be very interesting because you're going to have 2 guys from the Portuguese league on the left fighting it out for a minute. You could actually throw in Jota there because Jota, that's the one good thing about him is he could play all 3 as well. But interesting enough, 3 guys from the Portuguese league.
It just confuses me because why would you spend then 85 million on a position that you've just already stocked up on with Diaz? You could
play Diaz on the right then. You could swap them. You get what I'm saying? One of them on either side.
But where does Mo go?
Well, Mo's coming to the end, guys. Coming to the end. Sadly,
he may sign, man, and that's going to be another 2, 3, 4 years, maybe if he does. No, but it's interesting. It's interesting.
Absolutely. Because, as I said to you before, you have to be patient with him. If you're expecting a guy to come in lights out season 1, you're going to be disappointed. So it's actually a perfect scenario for you. You still have Mo, you have Diaz on one side, Jota, Mane. We don't know what's going to happen with him yet, but. If you have Darwin, and I understand. See, that's the criticism I have with Benfica, right? So I could imagine you guys at 75 mil, you expect the guy to be a starter. But if you ease him in, he's coming off the bench. I know 75 million for a bench player is a lot, but he's going to take his time to adapt. It took him a while to adapt to Portugal, which the coach is a little bit closer, Portuguese coach to the Uruguay than the English one is. So if it took him a little while to adapt to that, I'd assume it's going to take him a little while to adapt in England. But again, the style of play, I think, is going to fit him well. But look, you got other options. You're fine. Let the guy figure things out before you throw him into the Wolves then.
Oh, absolutely. Always, we have to back the player and let him take his time to gain. And it's going to be interesting to see where actually Klopp plays him now and what their plan is for him. That's what I'm more interested about coming out of that conversation is we've bought him. We've already got players that love to play in that position. Jota, like you said as well. So that's 3 now down there. So is it going to, it's going to be amazing. Really interesting. He literally is Sadio Mane replacement then, because he loved the left too. So there you go. I mean, yeah, we got Bobby as well. So Bobby Jota can play striker. We were thinking we might get the striker that we wanted, but like you said,
maybe he surprises us all, and Klopp plays him there.
Does.
Maybe he does. Look, you do have enough quality around him, so it's not like if he's your target man, and at Benfica he was the one guy up top there who's looked for, and obviously everybody's going to concentrate around them. Makes it a lot more difficult. At Liverpool, you got plenty of other options. Maybe don't focus in on him so much, and he looks a little bit better up top than he did at Benfica.
The qualities, then. Let's focus on some actual attributes of the player. What sticks out straight away with his time at Benfica to you?
Pace, physicality, and the one thing, as I mentioned over and over and over again, his never say die attitude. He's got the Uruguayan attitude. Never, you never give up. You fight for every ball, and he's got that in him. And so, as long as the work rate is there, football will figure itself out in the end. And I think he's got the right attitude for this, man. And as I mentioned earlier today, on another program, I think if I'm a Liverpool fan, the one thing I'm excited about Darwin is he had a phenomenal season at Benfica, and he could pretty much pick whatever team he wanted to play for, because Liverpool not the only club interested in him, right? And he could have gone to many other places, but he fell in love with Anfield, I guess, when Benfica went out there to play you guys in the Champions League. And that's the club he chose. He wanted to go to Anfield. He wanted to play for Liverpool. So I think, that's a plus.
Yeah, apparently Van Dijk and Klopp had words as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the interview.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the Van Dijk gave an interview not too long ago about the toughest players that he's faced in his career.
Yeah, exactly.
And when he mentioned Darwin, oh my God, in Portugal, the newspaper, how it is, that they blew up, right? It was all over the place. Oh, Van Dijk says Darwin. And so, as a Benfica fan, I'm just sitting back like, yeah, baby, yeah, Van Dijk, I love you. You just put another 25 million on top of the price tag. I love it. Yo, who else wants to come out and praise him? Let's go.
And then we end up paying that extra 25 million in add-ons, which is the fee you paid for him anyway.
Appreciate it. Thank you. It's too bad, Jordan Henderson, somebody else wasn't coming out talking about him.
Wow. Imagine if Mo Salah or someone did it, it would just be hilarious. But yeah, no, that's good, man. So his finishing is good as well?
It's work in progress. Like I said, look, he's the type that he's going to miss. He's going to, some easy opportunities that you're expecting that for him to tuck away, he's going to shank them. But then there's other times where you just put your head down, and by the time you pick it back up, he's around 3 defenders and the ball's in the back of the net. You're like, what the heck? So he's capable of everything and anything.
Yeah, and that kind of fits with what the rest of the guys are doing in the team as well. So, for example, let's do an example for Luis Diaz at the moment. He's just joined. Marco told us he was so glad to see him leave the Portuguese league when he left. But obviously, came to the team that he loves in Liverpool as well. So, but he towards the end of the season, brilliant start of the season. But he was missing a couple of those chances that he should have been putting away. Or at least I think he should be, and that's okay. That happens, right? It's one of those things that players go through these kind of peaks and troughs of finishing, and Mo Salah went through it as well at the end of the season. So they all go through it. I think, like you're saying, if he gets enough chances and he's he shoots as much as he is, and he gets enough touches in the box like he is now with Benfica, and you'd expect it to be more with Liverpool, surely. Yeah. Then that kind of opens up the opportunities to be greater as well for him to score more goals. So yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But I'm hoping he's Klopp's next Lewandowski. That's what I'm hoping.
Oof. I mean, look, as a Liverpool fan, I understand. I don't Lewandowski, that's I think that's a step above his pay grade.
Well, remember that Klopp made him that pay grade.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
so that's what I'm saying. The next one.
I love Edinson Cavani, right? I think if you got Edinson Cavani, I think you'd be just fine. I mean, he was a phenomenal player. Hey, look, not everybody's Lewandowski in this world. If you get a Cavani out of Darwin Nunez, I think you did just fine.
Very good point.
And not a Cavani at Man United, guys. Not that guy. Okay.
And you know what? That's what what's his name said last night. Alvaro said last night. He said that he's a mix between Suarez and Cavani for him. That's what he thought he was, as a player. That's high praise.
He doesn't have the technical ability of either one of those guys, though.
Hmm.
The one crazy thing is that physically, he might be more advanced than those two guys. And even at 22, he's a more powerful player than either one of those guys is. Faster, right?
Wow.
I don't think he's got the fit. And I think that's when Van Dijk said that he was very hard to play against. I think it was due to that physicality, to that explosiveness, to that pace that he has. I don't think it had nothing to do with his, with his touch on the ball.
The skill. And we miss that, dude. We miss that in the team. We need that physicality, especially with the front line. They're all a similar size.
The only guy you got up front is Jota. He's the only guy that really fights. Yeah. Right?
And everybody he could do some support,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jota's not the biggest guy, but he's another guy that puts in the shift week in, week out. And I know you guys press a lot, and he's physical to what he can do, but I think our Darwin's another level for sure. I think he definitely improves your squad in that manner, without a shadow of a doubt.
Aerial ability is good as well.
Yeah. As I said, he gets to whatever place, whatever space on the pitch that he wants to. Nobody's gonna beat him out. So, he finishes well with his head, with his right, with his left. He does it all. But again, Gags, some wide open opportunities where your hands are up in the air. You're like, what? And then,
he's 22 years old, dude. Absolutely, he's going to be learning still.
Yeah.
You're always learning, to be honest. But that age, it's development. You're not at your peak yet. You're definitely not at your peak.
Yeah, look, I was impressed. I was impressed with his mental, with the mental side of things, because you could tell he lacked confidence in his first year at Benfica. He scored 6 goals, I believe, in his first year, in league goals, I should say, in his first year at Benfica. He definitely struggled. You could tell there was something there that he wasn't the player that we all anticipated he would be. He also picked up a knee injury. He wasn't 100%. But this second year, man, for a kid to have, again, 21 at the time, turned 22 in the middle of the season, for a kid to have that mental strength to turn things around, knowing that, has the huge price tag on him, and the expectations are through the roof, for him to have that mental fortitude and, be able to put the package together, be able to play well against Barcelona in the Champions League. I understand it's not the great Barcelona size, but it's still Barcelona, to have a great performance against Ajax, even against you guys, right? Against Liverpool. That's not for everyone. I think he saw that as an opportunity to showcase his ability, to showcase himself to the world. And I think he did. And look, Liverpool, Klopp, Van Dijk, everybody fell in love with him. And I think, you should applaud him for that, because it's not every player that's able to turn it on like that from one year to the next, I should say, with the huge expectations hanging over their shoulders.
Amazing. What does this deal do for Benfica? What did you think when Liverpool came knocking for Darwin? Were you gutted, or are you happy because of the deal, the fee? What was your reaction to the deal?
A little bit of both. To be brutally honest. And to be fair, maybe I'm saying this on the wrong podcast, but when I heard Liverpool came in for him, I wasn't too happy, but not because of the fees or what type of fees we're going to get, or the club itself, because I do support Liverpool. As a little kid, my dad would always talk to me about his greatest teams. My dad, in his mind, were Benfica, obviously. Real Madrid was the biggest of them all. Bayern Munich and Liverpool. My dad would always explain to me those were the biggest clubs in the world. So I've always had this side of me that looked at Liverpool, kindly. So I don't dislike Liverpool, even though you guys knocked us out of the Champions League. But we did the same thing back in 2006 after you guys
you did. That hurt, man.
Simão, Mikoli. Yeah, exactly. So we've had it's been back and forth, which is entertaining. But now to expect Benfica to compete with the big bad sharks of Liverpool's of this world is, it's just not a doable thing. But at the time when reports started swirling, we all knew that at some point, if Darwin was able to put it all together, because as much as we hate to admit it, Gags, right? The Portuguese league is a feeder club, is a feeder league, right? Benfica is a feeder club. Look at the top teams in world football, and they all got a Benfica player on it. So we've kind of accepted the fact that when these guys get to the next level, not just Benfica, but Portuguese clubs in general can't turn down 60,
Some
70.
big boys have gone from the league, man, in the last 2-3 years.
Exactly.
Bruno, Diaz. Now there's been some.
Yes. João Felix, so many guys. João Felix went for almost double what Darwin was going for. But when the teams, when the reported interested teams started coming out, the one team I actually thought fits Darwin the best was Atletico Madrid. They have a South American coach, Argentinian, not Uruguayan, but neighbors, whatever. The mentality, the culture is the same. The language in Spain is obviously it's Spanish, so it's easy for him to adapt to. He's been already in Spain. And then the style of play. I think Darwin is great in the high press, counterattacks. If he's going to, the Barcelona's a tiki-taka, Barcelona's of this world, I think Darwin will be an atrocious signing, right? He doesn't have that in his game. That's not his type of game. That's why I said to you before, Liverpool would have been my second choice. But I think the team that actually fit him perfect would have been Atletico Madrid. But look, he played against Liverpool, went to Anfield, and you know better than I do why it's so easy to fall in love with Liverpool and Anfield once you make it to that place. So,
he was awesome that game. To be fair to him, he was like, oof.
Yeah, you guys played with your B side. I thought it was disrespectful, but it's okay.
We had so many games. You have to understand. It was like, how do we manage the squad? We had Man City on the weekend. The game after you was the FA Cup semi-final. Believe me, that was a tough time for Liverpool fans. We were going through the ringer with such big games. Every game was big, and we had to try and protect players, otherwise we'd never get so far as we did, in the season. So, it was never about disrespect. It was always about.
It was great to see, though. We're down 3-1, and everybody else packed it in, and we look again that Darwin Nunez attitude. It's not over to the fat lady singing, and he kept us in the game. And I thought Benfica had a couple of other opportunities to maybe even come out of there with a victory, which I think would have shocked everybody. But
I think you're right. That's the thing that came out. He never gave up. Well, he kept on shooting, and he thought he'd scored with that last one, volley outside the box, and Alisson saved it. He just looked at Alisson and went, "What? How did you save that? Like I hit that so clean, man." I was like, "That was so."
I was gutted, mate. I was gutted because Benfica, and I know we're here to talk about Darwin, but Benfica is a giant of world football.
Yeah,
we've not been run properly for a while now, and I know the former president Luis Vieira kind of turned things around. Before that, as I mentioned before, we went through the longest stretch in the history of the club, 11 seasons without winning a title, and this is a club that has so much to offer. Right? They should be. I say this often. I'm not saying this as a Benfiquista. I'm saying this as a football fan. I understand that Benfica is not going to be able to compete with the United Cities, Barca's, Real Madrid's, Bayern Munich's, Liverpool's, right? Chelsea's of the world, like the PSG's, the big fat Czech guys, right? But we should be on the next wave of things. You get what I'm saying? The next wave of clubs, I believe Benfica belongs in, maybe not at the very top, 12, 13, but at the back end of the next wave of clubs. I think that's the sort of club that Benfica can be. Benfica should be at the bare minimum, season in, season out, making it to the knockout stages of the Champions League. And then after that, it's a lottery. Depends on whichever way the balls fall, right? But that's the type of club that Benfica should be. And unfortunately, we just get in our own way, with the voting and for presidents and this and that. It has not been a good, job done by the Sauciers over the years to kind of witness and realize what's going on in front of us and turning the page. But that's another story for another day.
This fee should help, right? This fee should help in your next say batch of players coming in, maybe.
I was getting to that. Will it help? Yeah, of course. I mean, 80, 75 mil helps, but I don't think Benfica was dependent on it. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think like they're waiting on this to survive or to go out and get other players. Look, we understand that not making it to the Champions League this upcoming season will hurt. Obviously, Benfica finished in third place, which is disastrous. But in Portugal, only the first two go directly into the Champions League next season. So Benfica hasn't gotten the fee yet. They'll have to go through the Champions League playoff. And then if they do, they'll get that fee. And this is just surplus money. This is, extra money. But, we'll be very dependent on that Champions League money. This, what it does is cushions I don't even want to talk about this, guys. If Benfica doesn't make it through, then we'll have this money to soften the blow. But I don't think we're dependent on it. Now, it depends what Benfica is going to do with it. I think look, if you follow Portuguese football closely, depends who you speak to. There's plenty of haters that will tell you otherwise. But the one club in Portugal that makes money year in, year out is Benfica. And so, again, until we spend this money, until it's September 1st, and we see what kind of roster we've put together for new coach Roger Schmidt, who comes over from PSV, I won't be able to answer that question, to be brutally honest with you. The only thing I can tell you is it will soften the blow if Benfica does not make it to the Champions League final. I think that's the one positive aspect of this deal, because there will be plenty of Benfica fans you'll speak to that will tell you that Benfica made a mistake in selling him. We could have sold other guys, obviously not for that sum of money, but two guys would definitely get us back to 75 mil. And then you keep this monster on your team. You wait until the World Cup in November this year, right? A lot of people forget that the World Cup this year is in the middle of the winter or whatever, fall to winter, beginning of winter in Qatar, which is summer there. But if Darwin goes to the World Cup not if he goes, he's going to go unless he's injured, right? But when Darwin goes to the World Cup with Uruguay, if he has a phenomenal World Cup, right? If he sits, he should start for Uruguay. If he has a phenomenal performance throughout that World Cup, you guys will be very lucky. You'll be looking at this as a bargain, right? Because Benfica fans will tell you, hold on to him, let him go out there, blow it up, and then sell him in the summer for the 150 that's on his release clause.
Yeah.
And so, I guess only time will tell.
Only time was a very interesting point, actually, that we could have saved money. I mean, that's the first time anyone would say that to you. You spent £85 million. Well, you will in the end, but £64 million up front was 75 million euros. Mm-hmm. And no, Gags, you actually could have saved money here.
Yeah. There's plenty of Benfica people, and there's actually people in the club that I've had conversations with that are against this selling. They didn't want him to leave because they think that they can, get double after the World Cup. Yeah. And you'll see. I mean, only time will tell. But me, as a Benfica fan, I'm looking at this, and I got a lottery ticket in my hand for $100 million. Do I cash this in? We're talking about a player that just a year ago struggled with confidence, struggled, playing in Lisbon in Portugal, the club that's not, they are in front of millions, but not like Liverpool, right? Champions League, quarters, semis, finals. Right, like you guys have been FA Cups and whatever else cups you play over there in England, which is like 1,000 of them, 12 types of. So you're sitting there and you're like, man, he struggled with confidence. He just had a knee injury. Do I cash this ticket in? Because if I don't, I might be able to cash it for double, but he could have another knee injury. And you get another knee injury, all of a sudden now clubs start to doubt you. You lose value. What if he struggles? And it's a new coach. He doesn't adapt, right? So you start having all these questions. So I understand why Benfica sold him. I really do. But, maybe those guys, like I said, maybe we'll be sitting here in December and we're like, hey, Liverpool, man, you got yourselves a bargain, man. That was cheap. But we'll have to wait and see.
It could go either way. It's very, very, very interesting, mate. Very interesting. But is there anything else that we haven't covered on Darwin, or do you think we've covered it all?
I mean, besides my initial hate for the guy, I think everything else has been covered.
But do you love the guy now? That's the thing.
I see in his very first game against Boavista, he comes in off the bench and he tries to trap a ball. And, dude, he has the touch of a 3-year-old. And I said, that's it. This guy sucks. I don't care. This guy is never going to. And so for me to sit here 22, 23 months later and tell you that, look, he's obviously impressed me. He's turned things around. It's very high praise from me. So I think in the end, you'll be very happy with Darwin. But as I'm saying, I said it earlier, be very patient. Don't all these dumb comparisons that we're hearing about Haaland and whatever. He's more expensive than Erling Haaland that's going to Man City. I don't even know how to pronounce that guy's name. But right, did I say it right? Erling Haaland.
Haaland's fine. Yeah.
If you see this guy Haaland putting the ball in the back of the net week in, week out, and Darwin's not doing, don't fall into the trap of compare. Just give it his time. You'll be happy in the end.
Dude, they're paying over 130 million for Haaland. All the hidden payments to his dad, to him.
Yeah, those aren't reported.
To his dad. Yeah, it's a joke, man. Like, you've got to include those. How are they not part of the transfer? Fucking jokers. Anyway, it's not about dissing Man City. We all hate Man City collectively.
Well, I don't hate them because they got a boatload of Benfica players on the team. So
all right, fair enough.
I don't root for them, but I don't hate them because of that. That's the only reason. Bernardo Silva. How can you root against Bernardo Silva?
Dude, let's be honest. Even go there. There's a hate relationship with Liverpool fans and Bernardo Silva.
With Bernardo? For real? I wasn't aware of that.
You need to go down that rabbit hole on Twitter. It's hilarious. Yeah, he fights with Liverpool fans.
I'd expect the fight between Cancelo with Liverpool fans because of Trent, right? The comparison, the two best right backs in the world. That okay, I could see that. But Bernardo, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Yeah. Bernardo is a fan. He's a huge fan of Benfica, which is crazy, right? Because the guy is currently under contract for Manchester City, and all his Twitter love is for Benfica. It was like, wait a minute.
He wants to retire a Benfica.
Yeah. Well, he will. I believe he will. But wait a minute. You're playing for my club, and you're spreading your love for Benfica. Like, what the? But so he's just a player. I don't see anyone hating. I'm surprised. So I'm surprised.
Cool, man. That's pretty cool that he does that with Benfica. That's very cool.
Yeah, but the history of Liverpool, as I mentioned to you before, my dad spoke to me about those things. He's a fan. He's a student of history, right?
No, he's done some stupid things, and he's quite petulant with Liverpool fans.
I could see that.
When they had to give the Guard of Honor as well to Liverpool,
yes.
He ignored it completely. Didn't clap. He's a right bitch, man. I swear to God, he was. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's got a bitcy side to him, man. And you see the nice side.
You're not gonna like it, side, You're not gonna like it, but just after hearing that, I like him more. Nothing to do with Liverpool. Just
no. Yeah, he's got the attitude,
that competitiveness. Like what?
He couldn't take it. He was we can't. How are we giving them a Guard of Honor? This is disgusting. They've never done this for us. How? So yeah, he was. Everybody else did it. He was just like trying to look away. Had his bib on his. He tried to disguise himself as a ball boy or something. It was hilarious, fucking hilarious. But yeah. But anyway, Cristiano, this was awesome having you on the hour. Well, I think it was 40 minutes or so, non-stop.
Was
talking. It? Yeah, just flew by. Thank you.
Minutes. Wow.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure
when you're doing something you enjoy, when you enjoy doing something, if it doesn't feel like work, not that this is work, but you know what I'm saying. When you enjoy doing something, it doesn't feel like, I don't know. This flew by.
I'm hoping we get Benfica in the group. Just so we can.
But it wasn't enough last year. Wasn't
enough?
No,
just so we can speak to you again, dude.
Want to stomp on us?
We want to speak to you again on Anfield Index. That's why.
Yeah, if Darwin come to the lose and score at the lose. Come on, bro. You're sticking in the knife and twisting. That's not nice, man. You're rubbing salt in the wound. That's not nice. Take our best player, all right? Take my woman and just leave. All right. You don't got to come back to my bar and dance with her. All right. Leave it alone.
Well, I definitely want to hear you on AI Pods more. So let's hope we play Benfica.
Tell Marco, me and Marco get on. Marco's fantastic. I know you guys know all about him. Marco is awesome. He's a phenomenal. I love Marco. Love. Thank you, Marco, for introducing me to Gags here, man. And whenever you guys need anything, whether it's Benfica or just to BS, you hit me up and I'll be available, man. You guys are a lot of fun.
Thank you, Marco, for the introduction. As always, we'll speak to Marco soon. But for you, thank you so much for coming on and sparing your time today for this. We really appreciate it. I'm sure all the Liverpool fans listening appreciate it as well, for being so honest as well. Opens up our minds a little bit more. We get to learn a little bit of the other view of the fans and what they feel, Benfica fans. So that's good. And I'm sure this podcast will raise many eyebrows and have lots of people talking. So for that, I thank you more than anything. Thanks so much, my friend.
You're welcome, my friend. Pleasure's all mine, man. Let's go, Darwin.
Let's go, Darwin Nunez. Let's go. Absolutely. As a 9, let's go. But yeah, thank you again. And to everybody listening, this is again another Darwin Nunez pod. There's still more to come. There will be more content. Keep your ears peeled to our podcasts. And if you haven't joined our Discord server, please do. AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. Thank you once again, Cristiano. And we will speak to you all very soon. Up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.